What's up, everybody? We're coming to you from the Function House. This is live from Redhook. We're kicking off our first show. I'm Mike Gentile, along here with Anthony Vitale, and we got none other than Johnny D and Nicky P of JOHNICK.
What's up? What's going on?
They're kicking off our first show. Let me ask you a question. How honored are you to be on our first show?
I am beyond honored. I was crying. This is some deep. This is deep right here. We got Vitale and Gentile. This is going to be we're honored to be part of this. This is going to be epic right here.
All right, for the people who don't know who JOHNICK is, how would you define JOHNICK?
JOHNICK, if I can quote ODB, it's like something you never heard before. It's basically if there was a disco label in the 90s, that's kind of like what JOHNICK was. I think we always played, we paid respect to all of the people in the disco field from the 70s and 80s. So in the 90s, when the JOHNICK Productions and Henry Street started, it was really about how can we, recapture that vibe and bring it into the house world.
So, quick question. How did you two link up?
How
did that come about?
Well, he's been a fan for years of mine, so he came on. It was like 1982. There was this place called Phil's Country Store on Court Street. And arcade, and I used to always hang out there. And
Phil's Country Store?
Phil's Country Store, yeah.
Okay.
And I forgot, how we were introduced and stuff. But I had known him from the neighborhood and everything. And a lot of people, there were a million DJs in our neighborhood at that point. And, Nicky started spinning maybe a year before, and I was spinning, in '80. And then we hooked up from that point, and he had done this master mix of Booker T, Don't Stop Your Love, where he put the record on, and he put all kinds of animals and dogs barking and cows mooing and stuff. Total, and I knew right there that this is a guy I got to go into business
was a match
with.
made
It
in
was
heaven.
it was like sitting with Steve Jobs early on. It was that kind of a situation.
On a more serious note,
Yes.
let's talk about music in the 90s, the house music in the 90s, opposed to the music now.
Yes.
How do you feel about music now?
Yeah, I'm not overly. I'm not loving music now. I think it's I could appreciate a Taylor Swift and a lot of these more pop acts. I actually love the Jonas Brothers. Those guys, like the whole that those guys are doing like.
When are you remixing the next show?
Yeah, I want to get. Well, not everybody remixes everything, so the whole remix thing it's not special anymore. But I think the difference is more in not really in the pop world, but in the house world. Years ago, in the 80s and the 90s, you had different people from all over the world using different technology, and they had different ideas. So everybody was giving you a different thing. So if you had guys in Chicago or guys in LA or even in Brooklyn, you could have, 5 or 10 big guys doing stuff, and they were basically everybody had different equipment. So you never got that same sound. Now, somebody wants to get in the music business or be a DJ or producer, and what do? They go buy a Mac, they buy whatever, they get loaded, every kind of, plug-in and stuff, and everything sounds exactly the same. So you really can't tell, any records that are really being made in the last 10 years, it's all the same shit.
Well, I think it's part of the problem is that a new track comes out and there's immediately like 50 remixes of it, right?
Yes.
So it's like, which one do you play? Which one sounds good?
That's a problem.
How do you distinguish between?
It's a major problem.
Right.
I mean, you have a very successful mobile business, and you see how it is. You have a new record comes out. I'm sure if you're scrolling or going on the internet, or if people are sending you stuff, you're like, oh, shit, this is a new hot record. It's like I said, Taylor Swift, you're getting when you're like, this is actually a good situation. But the truth of the matter is that really kills it because I did A&R for Atlantic Records for over 15 years, and, my job was to make remixes. So if I went out and said, this is what, this is the record, these are the remixes, whether it's one mix or it's a double pack work the mixes, this is what we're promoting. So at that point, that was basically you were controlling the record. Now, everybody has access to an acapella. Everybody has an instrumental. Everybody has their own mix. So how do you buy it? So now people like, where are the sales? You can't get sales because the version you're playing isn't even for sale.
Back in the day, the acapella was only kept with the A&R people that worked at the labels. So whoever got the budget to make remixes, those people basically got the acapella and made a remix. Now with the internet and everything, the acapella is all over the place. Every acapella, even acapellas from the 70s, and everybody is it's a free-for-all. Everybody's just doing their own mixes.
I mean, for me, coming up as a DJ, vinyl and all that stuff, getting access to an acapella was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like if you got access to a single acapella that nobody had, it was like the biggest thing since sliced bread.
Yes.
Today, you could just go on YouTube and rip an acapella for any song imaginable, whether it's a Michael Jackson acapella.
Oh yeah,
or
it's right now it's the wild wild west. Years ago when we were doing records and we first started and the label and just house music in general, sampling with Todd Terry, who was like the master of sampling. That was like, wow, he took that. Wow, that's obscure. He took one piece and he made drums, and he would take a vocal part, slow it down, make it sound like a horn or whatever he would do. There was an art to it. Right now, people just take an entire song. Like they'll just take Michael Jackson Thriller, put it out,
drums on top
call
of
the
it,
fucking
name it
thing
something else.
Thriller. No, they don't even do that. I used to like be kind of, I'd name most of the John Nick tracks because I'm cool with that kind of shit. But that was part of the art. Now it's just like, oh, let's just sample Thriller and call it Thriller. So it's the wild wild west right now,
Nick,
and
talk about-
things are at a horrible level.
Talk about how you make the records.
Well, the way I always made the records and the way that I still make the records is the very ghetto-y way that we were taught how to do the records in the 90s.
You're from Brooklyn. Ghetto's good.
It's
Ghetto's good.
very, 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 meaning as little equipment as possible, where now, everybody has all kinds of gear and computers and all kinds of plugins and all kinds of...
It was listen, live, a drum machine and a sampler and live.
That was it.
So we would stand up really at the board, literally, never had a counter. So it was basically, we were just doing live mutes, and it was just feeling.
Time it in our head, catch a feel of it, and basically, drop the drops on the 4, on the 16, the way that a record
But
would be
just,
arranged.
but it was all by sound. It wasn't.
by
We
sound.
weren't looking at any kind of, even like through the SP 1200. Although Todd somehow got a time, we've
Yeah, he
never
figured
had
it out.
any. We never had any kind of a reader. We were just doing it, and we would be having a conversation while we're doing the track, and just hit them. And if we fuck up, we would leave them in. Most of the time, and if there's a problem, we would just. We weren't editing.
Sometimes the record was 6 minutes, sometimes it was 9 minutes, sometimes it was 3 minutes. I mean, it was just depending on the feel of it.
So for those of you who don't know these two, they're behind something very monumental in Brooklyn. Let's talk about Henry Street Music.
Yeah, Henry Street Music started in. I've been milking this 20th anniversary, so like I'll keep milking it until we hit the 25th.
We'll let you
but
get away.
It's pretty much, I think, like 93, 94 when it started, and it was basically an outlet. It was originally an outlet to. I was very serious about doing A&R. I felt that house music was hitting a wall, and I thought that taking the approach of the disco thing, really doing it the right way, and getting producers to do disco records that they regularly wouldn't do was the way to go. So that was the initial thing. Then it was also a house for Nikki and myself to just put out whatever records we wanted, because we had put a couple of records out with different labels.
We had made some records before we started Henry Street.
So it was like, I just felt that this is like we could just put out John Nick records whenever we want. But, then it just took on, with all the producers and stuff.
Yeah,
It
the
took
funny
on.
thing is we probably have more records on other labels than we actually have on Henry
So
Street.
talk
Well,
to
now
us.
we're all like John Nick, yeah.
So talk to us about some of the bigger tracks that came out on Henry Street Music, particularly The Bomb.
Obviously The Bomb is the biggest record on the label from Kenny, Funk Phenomena, Armand, John Nick, Play the World, DJ Sneak. Scotty, Tronco Tracks, Walk For Me, to me was a record that wasn't the regular Henry Street kind of sound, more for the gay community. And I as time went on, I was taking a little bit more chances, and I would kind of, stretch things here and there. But it was always, the root of it was always a disco house label.
So, like, growing up, coming up as a DJ, who were some of the guys that you looked up to or inspired you while you were, becoming a DJ?
Definitely for myself. I started DJing in 1980, and in the 70s, I was obsessed with radio, and I was just listening to, 99X before it turned into Kiss FM.
You're an old motherfucker.
I just 48, baby. January, I'm getting up there. There was WBLS with Frankie Crocker, who was a major influence. Disco 92, and then obviously, like I said, 99X transformed into Kiss, and Shep Pettibone on Kiss, the dynamic duo, which is Tommy Musto and Tommy Sazzi, Latin Rascals. Those are probably my 3 biggest influences. I'm just more like, my brain works like a mixtape, and it's not just like it's just 7 records at once and multi-edits. Like, that's how I hear everything. And I think it has a lot to do with like a Latin Rascals and a dynamic duo, because they were doing that. and it really wasn't done before. And other people around were trying to do it, but they did it right. You know, like the Latin Rascals. I mean, they were eons ahead of. I mean, their stuff today. It still sounds incredible.
So you're a disco buff. You love disco. That's inspired you throughout your whole
Have
career.
you ever seen this guy's record collection?
Well, that's a great segue. Talk to us about the unlimited amount of records that you have in your
Listen,
collection.
I'm going to say it once and for all. It's all over Facebook, everybody's collections, yeah, blah, 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 blah. The best collection ever. I'm not just saying it because he's my boy. Best collection you will ever see is his collection.
It's-
Period, end of story. That's it.
I
It's
think a lot of people know that also.
No, a lot of people,
No,
a lot of
record
people
heads
don't.
know about.
well.
They
I,
know,
I,
but-
I mean,
I heard
listen,
there's a lot of corny records in there.
Never.
Well, you know what? I mean, listen. The thing about my collection that I always kind of, you know, I like to have like the spectrum. You know, I wasn't just disco records. Or, you know, I thought it was important to have, you know, a tight rock collection. I'm very big with test pressings and acetates, so I have some crazy stuff there. You know, my disco stuff obviously is crazy. My house records, I've been very picky and selective. Even my hip hop. You know, I don't have like a lot of promo record pool filler shit. Like I always say, my collection is fat free. So there could be somebody say, "Oh, I got 400,000 records." But the truth of the matter is, are there really 400,000 good records? I mean, I mean, I have probably about 80,000 records, but it's like they're all in order, and I don't really have anything that's filler. There are some guys in the DJ world who are big with break beats and all that kind of stuff.
I think you might have OCD too, though.
I definitely have OCD, absolutely.
Tell us
Big
about.
time.
You have some other obsessions too.
Well, I have Purell in my job. I was around somebody today who said they had
That's
a
why
mono.
you didn't shake my. He didn't shake
somebody
my hand. when he
somebody
came
said
in.
they had mono today. I was actually in the building, and I pulled out my Purell right away. Like, it's just you have to be prepared for that. There are a lot of filthy
Howie
fucks in the
Mandel.
world.
Yep,
It's all
fist bump
about that.
everybody.
Yeah,
I,
you guys-
I actually take responsibility for introducing Purell to the Warner Music Group back in the 90s. That when everything all fell apart, everybody had a big thing on their desk, and that was courtesy of me.
Bought stock out
Got to
of
be
it.
clean. You know, it's just
Yeah,
a lot
we-
of filthy
we agree.
bastards
We
out
agree.
there.
It's very clean
Yeah, this is, I got to say, Vitale and Gentile, very clean atmosphere. And we're in Red Hook, which was pretty much a disgusting place for
Bad when we were
probably
young.
ever since it existed. So
We're
now
putting it back on the map.
Red Hook is coming back hard.
We are. We're putting it
Very
back on the
big.
map.
What about your sneaker collection?
My sneaker collection, I calmed
Nicky's got
down.
some Air Max 95.
Nicky's got some
He's
stuff.
got some Keds, too.
I stopped with the record, with the sneaker collection. You get married, you have 2 kids. The sneakers have to take a back seat in. I kind of lost interest in them, but I still have them. I'm actually looking to sell a bunch.
Anybody
11 and a
wants to
5.
buy,
Got a
man.
lot of Jordans still boxed. Let's make it happen. Vitale has first dibs. Actually, if you want to get real deep, one time I went to Vitale's house in the 90s. I think I gave him about 40 pairs of Jordans just in a bag. They were brand
The
new.
worst thing that ever happened to me because then I started
And
collecting.
I just gave him brand new. I'm never going to wear these.
Bag, 11s were in there. There was 5s in there.
Crazy stuff.
Everything that he didn't want to wear.
So Notch got some of my MX 95.
Yeah?
Gave up the house.
So let me ask you another question. What about some of the DJs of today? Do you follow any of the more current DJs?
Well, I
Is
think-
there anybody that you like to listen to?
I got to tell you, if I'm at a wedding and I hear somebody play a house mix of Barry White, I'm thinking about taking out the first family closest to me. That definitely, like my first, my last, my everything with the house beat behind it. The guy who thought of it should be shot. Everybody who's fucking play, I just don't get it. I get it, but I don't get it.
Sometimes,
So, what was
sometimes you got to play it. I mean, for all the mobile DJs that are out there that are watching the show, you all know about Barry White and the Black Legend.
Listen,
and the Black Legend house remix.
listen. I'm
that goes in.
Listen. I'm busting his balls, but I gotta say one thing about this guy. I knew his brother. I mean, this family's hardcore. Guy's an incredible mobile DJ, and I will tell you this: you would think that this day and age, with the technology of the Serato and Tractor and also the bullshit, everybody could do it. Guys can't do it. This guy could do it, and he does it with ease.
I appreciate that.
I ever got to
appreciate
do. I'm
that.
just telling you, man. Like I said, he wasn't expecting me to throw that at him. He said, "I told me 50 at the end of this." But I gotta say, this guy was. I was at the wedding, and this guy, he sat me at a table. That's a whole other. That's a 2-hour thing. I'm not gonna get into. This table he put me at, this rap back. I discovered this guy. He put me at a table, which when you get that family, they put me by the kitchen. I would have preferred to be in the fucking kitchen. That's another story, but guy's incredible.
So tell me,
I did the Trump just now,
That was
right?
great.
That was very Trumpy,
that
like
was
I
great.
just took all
that
that.
just increased my value. Now we're going to charge more money for what?
$100 at the end. Fuck the 50.
No, so tell me, is there anybody today that you follow or that you like?
Well, I think a lot of the DJs I still like. I mean, obviously, like Louis Vega has been another big influence to me. You know, I've been following Louis for years, and I think what he does is incredible. And you know, David Morales, I think, is a great DJ. You know, there were certain, you know, guys like that. I mean, Todd Terry actually, you know, was just, you know, Todd used to just play Todd, and we thought that was funny, but that's incredible that he could do that. And you know, he's also like another great DJ. So there are guys. Kenny Dope is a great DJ because he can play different. You know, he can play Latin stuff, or he'll play breaks, or play hip hop, or play house. And I love that. In a DJ, that's important to me. Well, you know, I mentioned influences from the radio end, but Leroy Washington from Studio 54, which was a staple when I was growing up, you know, he was a guy that I always felt had the hardest gig, because while Larry Levan was at the garage playing for like a predominantly black gay crowd, those guys, like whatever he played, they were like, wow. And Jelly Bean was a funhouse, whatever he played, wow. Leroy Washington, you know, is a guy, Studio 54, you have 5,000 white people who really don't have any kind of fucking soul or rhythm. And it's like richer, you know, upscale people. And he's got to kind of squeeze in some like new dope records in the middle of Madonna Like a Virgin. And he did it. And he'd go 10 hours, 15 hours. I mean, to me, that was a DJ. So I like that versatility.
What do you think about this whole EDM dance craze that's taken over in the
Nikki
United
loves it,
States?
and Nikki actually
I
embraces it.
mean, pushing, you know, maybe the sound aside, and maybe how every EDM song sounds the same.
I think, but you just summed it up. That's the problem. That's the reason why people don't really, you know, there's people that gravitate to it for that reason.
You got to talk into the mic.
There's people that gravitate to it for that reason, and there's people that don't like that kind of music for the same exact reason, that it mostly sounds the same, like every record. I mean, you know, I think you could get tired of it.
I think if you look at, you know, the DJ culture and the EDM thing, you know, it basically, it hurt itself the same way. You know, years ago, you were a DJ. You know, I DJed at Plaza Suite with Danny Cole, who put me on, you know, early on. And, you know, we'd spin from 10 to 4. If you got to take a piss, you got to put a long record on. Like, it wasn't like, you know, I mean, we were there for each other. But if for some reason he stepped out or whatever, that was what it was. It wasn't 9 DJs.
Right.
And you took people on a mission. So you take them from one spot, and it was about taking them on a journey. That's what a DJ did. Then over the years, these, you know, these rocket scientist promoters were like, hey, let's get 15 guys to spin. So now what's going to happen? You're going to go. We're the 4 of us are going to go spin a gig. Are you
Play
gonna
4 or
want?
5
Are you
records
gonna
apiece.
want to warm up? No, you want people to say fucking Gentile. But so you're gonna play the hits. He's gonna play the hits, and then what happens? Nobody's breaking music anymore because you're playing the fucking raw bass. If that was hot, and he's playing CNC music, everybody's playing the hot shit. Nobody wants to be. Yeah, you know, Johnny D was on. He was fucking sleeping. I did a gig in 1993 at the Billboard music conference in San Francisco, and I fucking destroyed the place. But I was just sitting there playing music. I wasn't being theatrical. I did my thing. Guy came on after me. Not gonna mention names. Fucking, you know, it was horrible, and fucking hand in the air, and fucking, you know, like the next day I'm online at the buffet. You know, this guy's like, "Oh my God, did you hear so and so last night?" And I'm expecting to be like, "Wow, the guy like fucking blew cock," and they were like, "He was incredible."
Are we allowed to say that on
I'm like,
on the end?
what the fuck were they listening to? And I saw at that moment that's when it was like really turning into, it had nothing to do with the music, and it was all the hype and the bullshit. So the DJ thing was starting then. And now it's like, I mean, look at these guys. They press a button, their hands in the air, and that's where that's it. And EDM to me is the same kind of thing. It's getting back to what I said before. Everybody has the same equipment. Your drums, your patterns, everything is the same way. It's all the same way. So that's your problem with the music. People who jumped on EDM that are in the industry are just trying to save their gig.
You got something? Man?
Yeah, so for viewers that want to buy your music, where can they go get it?
Well, we have a 7-inch box set that just came out, which is a vinyl 500-piece only, really, really cool. And there's a part 2 coming out, Record Store Day, which is either March or April, I don't even know. Digitally, all this stuff is up everywhere, you know, iTunes, Beatport, TrackSource, Amazon, you know, any of the outlets. And I'm sure, like, you could download everything for free because that's how we're living right now. So, I mean, that's just, you know, That's the world.
They're all edits of basically most of the popular tracks that are on Henry Street.
But I think a lot of people are shying away, though, from downloading a lot of stuff for free. I mean, you have some of these, in terms of quality, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think you have more people buying records today from an iTunes and from Beatport
Yeah.
and from Track Source. You're buying records because you're getting a clean, pristine copy. You're getting it right away, whereas before you had to go searching for it. Although from time to time you might have people ripping stuff off of YouTube because you just can't find that track anywhere.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people are buying the stuff today.
Yeah, I mean,
The collector
listen,
definitely want
You know,
that, so.
I mean, I still buy music. I mean, I bought the Ellie Goulding album. I mean, I still, you know, I'll buy. I don't buy digital music. I'm a physical guy, so I'll still buy physical. Yeah, but I think that now it's, you know, went from the physical to now it's the streaming world. So now you have that whole world of those clowns who are going to dictate what house is or what disco is, and you know what the problem is? There are not a lot of good people in the industry. You know, I was considered middle management for years when I worked at Atlantic and the Warner Music Group. So, and I happen to really know what the hell I'm doing. But there weren't a lot of people who did. So now you have a couple of people making crazy millions of dollars, and you get these $20,000 interns. And that's basically what's going on. So if somebody Googles, oh, I heard Madonna's favorite color is blue, then when they're doing some kind of thing, they're like, Madonna, and that might not be the case. There's really no follow through, and it's all immediate, and I think that's where the breakdown is.
All right, so I'm going to ask one more final question. If there was one record that put you guys over the top, what record would it be?
I think Play the World is the biggest record. I mean, Nicky came up with that whole thing. It's ironically, you know, we talk about how we do all the records like Ghetto style. That was the one record Nicky did like in a studio, like right. Musto was there, and it was all clean, and you know, it had little effects and stuff like that. So the loops were all done.
I did it at home. I did it at home, and then I brought it to the studio.
But the
to mix.
actual mix down was actually done at North.
Where most of our records are all done. I roll out of bed and I go in the room and they're done.
Ironically, if you listen to the rest of that EP, the funny thing is the other three tracks actually have more punch, and those were done Ghetto style
in the house.
There was no capacitor or nothing. So that's
Yeah.
the funny. I mean, Play the World is the bigger record.
Yeah, the Play the World track was one of my personal favorite. And there's so many DJs that are playing that today. I mean, I listen to some podcasts, like Roger Sanchez has a podcast, and he has guest DJs play
Yes.
on his podcast. And I was listening to a podcast not too long ago, and they were rocking that track.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fortunately it's one of the ones that hasn't been ripped yet. But if you go to a Track Source chart right now at any given time, basically every John Nick track that we've ever done has been done 15 times over, horribly, and they're all actually being charted right now.
Or they take the exact thing that we did and just make a new drum on top of it or something, and they just kind of spruce it up for today. But basically, they're taking whatever, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever.
Harlem World, son, bring it back.
Basically, yeah.
No, it's basically like Puffy. You know, it's like Puffy would come out and sample whatever he would do, and then Irv Gotti came out sampling Puffy,
Right.
sampling other things. So that's basically where it's at right now. We sampled whoever, and now people are sampling us.
But we
sampling
think we
someone else.
do it in a certain way, and you know, people are just taking our, you know,
Well, I think we
our
know that-
vision.
I think no one having the music here, it's a big thing.
Absolutely.
You can tell it comes through.
So
Like if you're listening to the Barry White dance mix,
it's like
you kind of
unbelievable.
realize that the guy who did it had no fucking idea who Barry White was. He just says, "Wow, this record got over at the wedding. My mother and father love it from the '70s.
Let me put some
I'm gonna
drums
put some
on top."
ridiculous drums on top of it." But you
In
know,
the
there's no
mobile-
soul in it.
In the mobile world,
You know what I mean?
it's
But there's
like
no soul.
it's
Right.
it was at one point it was a go-to.
You know, I love to beat shit up. I mean,
No.
I'm surprised he still talks to me at this point. I mean,
Another question: you've DJ'd obviously around the world, all over the place. Talk to me about like what was one of the favorite places that you DJ'd club-wise. when
Most
you were-
memorable moment. Of
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, actually, you know, Nicky brought this up in the car before we got here. I mean, Plaza Suite, you know, Danny Cole was the guy who put me on in the club, and I had met him. I DJ'd his sister's Sweet 16 party or something in the backyard. Came over to me and said, "Why don't you come to the club?" And I heard about the club, obviously, and Danny was a legend in Brooklyn. He did Plaza Suite 1, then it turned into Plaza Suite 2. And I went in there. I went in the booth with him, and he basically looked at me and says, "You know, I'll be back." And I was like, what's he doing? And he left, and it was basically his way to test me. And it was like 12 o'clock peak at the club. And I did my thing, and from there on in, I mean, we had a 4-year run at the place together, and that was probably, you know, that's probably the experience that, you go home from that and it's like, you do a lot of mobile gigs or whatever, and then when you have something like that, you're in a real club, it's packed. That was pretty
Such a great feeling, right?
Unbelievable.
Real clubs are great, but I've always enjoyed the mobile gigs, to be honest. I mean, if you get a good mobile gig.
Yeah, I mean, the mobile gigs are cool. I think what's really cool about doing mobile,
the Barry White mix.
well, that's
Aside
part
from
of
Barry
it.
White mix.
No, I think it's I mean, look, I come from the clubs. I DJed in the clubs early on in my career, and then like ventured off into mobile. And I think what's cool about doing mobile today is that you actually make people dance at a party, whereas a lot of places now, the more mainstream clubs, like there's not even a dance floor.
Well, it's all about the whole
So it's all
the
about
bottle
service and everybody just
yeah,
standing
but you, like I
staring
said,
at
I was at the
DJ.
party with you and you did that, and I gotta say, it's hard. I mean, it's hard both ways. I mean, at the mobile gigs, obviously you play "Let's Get Loud," and then everybody.
Well, I
gets
don't
up.
play that song.
Yeah, I hear you saying. Oh, but there'll be a new house mix.
Vitale
be good for
plays
you.
it.
Vitale's
Play
big with that.
song. This guy is a big Pitbull fan. You ever
He
seen his
loves
posts on
Pitbull.
Facebook?
Pitbull is, the guy is incredible. It's just, it's funny. I take a lot of shots at Pitbull, and I've always heard he's the nicest guy. So I'm sure he's a nice guy, but I can't. I just can't.
I'm sure he's a nice guy when he goes to the bank too.
He's got the bank. I was trying to get a piece of that bank when he robbed my piece of the bomb, and I was trying to get a piece of that bank, and I was starting to like him, but we didn't work out.
So for everybody that's out there tonight, this is our first show, and we thought it would be good to have these two guys who are from downtown Brooklyn, around the Redhook area, to open up the show. And tonight, they're going to DJ for us. They're going to play live from the Function House, and it's going to be live from Redhook. So just talk to us a little bit about what you guys think you're going to play tonight for us and for the crowd.
Well, that's a lot of fun. I had an incredible set ready to go. I hate the word set. Well, I had a stick ready to get, and it didn't take. So I just pulled a stick out. I don't even really know what's on that stick. Nikki's actually a little bit more prepared. So
we kind of wing it. We kind of
we'll
wing it
just
anyway.
Wing it, and we'll see what happens.
even
And
I
if worse
do. I
comes
mean, I
to
have stuff-
worse,
I have stuff, but I kind of wing it. Whatever I feel like playing, I play.
if worse comes to worse, we can tap into Gentile. He's got his laptop, and maybe there's "I Will Survive" house mix floating around. I was thinking about Heaven must have sent you, mesh it with what's big? Is it more searching? I gotta find a man, or
Are
so
there
many
Frank
men?
Sinatra house mixes?
so many
So
men.
many
That's what I'm
men.
asking for.
So many
Would
men.
Heaven must have sent you violins in the background, big beat, little
That's-
Barry White at the
That's
end.
a big track.
And then we gotta, of course, we gotta end with reggaeton, because that wasn't the biggest weight. Reggaeton makes fucking EDM sound like classical music. You know what I'm saying? Like, you fucking kidding?
Well, now they're going to start remixing.
I'm gonna
reggaeton.
produce a reggaeton record for you right now. Tim. Anything you want to talk. Just produce the whole fucking record. Whatever you want.
All right, let's get into the
Johnny
music.
D, Nikki P. We're going to walk them over to the set right now.
Walking over. Vitale's a bodyguard.
Give me that mic.
Sally Dilf, actually.